Hi guys, I am back in the office today to record another episode of the Simple Doesn't Mean Easy podcast that I'm going to be putting, obviously, because you're watching it there on YouTube. Today's episode is all about Instagram. Have you ever been confused by Instagram? Or maybe you're just really eager to know the best way to use this platform to grow your brand? This episode is for you. All right, this season we have been diving into behind the scenes of online content creation. And today I'm actually really excited because we're going to really narrow down our focus and we're just going to talk about one of the many different social media options that we've kind of been mentioning and bringing up here and there throughout the season, because today we're going to focus on Instagram. And I have with me Vea, who I am so excited is going to really help us dive deep into this topic. So first of all, our guest lives on a mountain farm in the Italian Alps. And by Instagram, it just kind of blows me away that I have been able to connect with her and feel like, I'm walking in the Alps with her and her children, and I'm sitting beside her and spinning yarn, or at least watching her spin yarn, because I have no idea how to do that. So Vea, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
So thank you to you for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Well, I am too. Now, okay, there have been a lot of other social media platforms that have existed and that are still around today, but it doesn't seem to me, and maybe this is just me, but it doesn't seem that any of them have given us this immediate connection and this way of truly interacting with the folks who are following our life and want to know what we're doing on a daily basis. Why do you think that is? Do you have any theories on what makes Instagram really unique?
Well, that's a very interesting question. And I've been thinking a lot about it because before Instagram, I've been on Facebook for many years. I started on Facebook for the, promoting the farm and what we're doing here. And, I never, for years, I was never really that much involved, I have to say. And then when I started to use Instagram, I was kind of skeptical. I was like, okay, it's another social media. It will be the same. And, it was just kind of business thing. Mm-hmm. But then I realized very, very fast, I realized that it was a completely different thing. And my explanation for that is one of the possible explanations could be that, on Facebook, you connect with the so-called friends. So the selection of people that are following you or that you are following is based on who you know, and this group of who you know, it's expanding via personal connections. But this doesn't guarantee shared interests. Friends of your friends do not necessarily share your interests. Mm-hmm. Where on Instagram, you don't necessarily meet friends, but the community is connected through personal interests. So I think that is why it's so much more interesting, at least in my opinion. And the community also tends to be wider and inclusive because of this shared interest focus, I think.
Great. I think that's a really great insight. And that's true. You almost forget how Facebook, like when it first started, but yeah, it totally was just about who's your friend, right? Yeah. And Instagram, you're right. People go on there to see a lifestyle or to see a very certain topic that they want to know more about. It is very different. You're right. And also, there's the hashtags. People try to use hashtags in other social medias, but Instagram, the hashtags really make a huge difference and can help people really find something they're interested in.
Totally. Because if you follow an hashtag, that's the way, me as a Instagram user, it's how I find new feeds to follow. So for example, I'm interested in wool or spinning or all these things that concern wool. So I just follow the hashtags and I find new people to follow, which are not necessarily my friends or friends of friends.
Right. And then thinking about it from the content creator side, it makes it so much easier, I feel, to interact with those people who are following you. Like there's a lot of people following you, Vea, who really want to know a little bit more. They see something you do and you don't give them the exact information that they were hoping for. They can really quickly just send you a short little message, and it's really easy for you to reply to them. I don't know why, but other platforms I feel like are chunkier. And for some reason, Instagram is very streamlined and easy to interact with people. And then they have all those great things on stories, you know, where you can always ask people a poll, or you can ask them to vote on something, or what do you call the bar where they can slide it? Is there a name for that? I don't know. But there's so many ways that they can just interact really quickly. And then the great thing about the Instagram algorithm is once people have interacted with you like that, like let's say I put up a really cute picture of my barn cats. Right now I have the most adorable barn kittens in the world.
I saw it.
Oh, they're so cute. Thank you. So why do I say thank you? It's not like I can take credit for the fact that my cats are cute. I mean, but anyway, you know, I put up a picture and I put that little slide bar, and let's say a few hundred people slide it and say my cat's really cute. Instagram then makes a note. Oh, that person likes something Michelle did. So let's show that person the next thing Michelle does, right? Something kind of like that. So it really is a useful platform, I feel like. Okay, so it's also very visual. And Vea, your photos always get my attention. They are gorgeous. Do you think, oh, and then there was your reel, that first reel that you did?
Yeah.
So artistic, beautiful, about making yogurt, right?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Well, do you think that someone has to be a professional photographer to really be good at Instagram? Because I can't do pictures quite as great as yours, I don't think.
No, okay. Yeah, Instagram was born as mainly a visual social media. It was born, at the beginning, it was for photographers, mainly to share their work. But even if today it's not so, it's not that way so much, I think aesthetic is very important on Instagram. This doesn't mean you have to be a pro. When I started, I didn't know a thing about photography, believe me.
Wow, good for you.
I just had my phone and I took random pictures. But then I started to understand that this aesthetic part was kind of important. And I started to dive into it a little bit. And then I found out that I had a new passion.
That's
after
awesome.
a while. Yeah, yes. But I think you don't have to be a pro, or you don't have to buy a camera, an expensive camera. I mean, nowadays phones are just as good as a camera very often. What I think is that you have to spend some time to study a little bit how to get better from that point of view, which is not difficult. There are a lot of feeds, or how do you call them? That's my English now.
That's okay.
Yes, okay.
Other Instagram pages that you can follow.
Yes, you can follow, and take a lot of inspiration, and just care a little bit about it.
I think that's a really good point. I think the best way to learn, way to learn is to follow people who are doing it the way you wish you could do it, right? And just really watch what they're doing and imitate it, for sure. I think a lot of times with photography, two big things that people don't think about are the lighting. You have some very romantic lighting, the way that you style your photos. And I think angle, a really unique angle, instead of just the angle that you see it as an everyday person looking at it. Get down on your knees if you need to, or move around and get a different view from where you typically would take the picture, if that makes sense. So just little things like that. Yes. And you learn it by following people like you.
And there are so many photographers on Instagram that offer a lot of tips and a lot of, yes. So, I mean, it's not that difficult, and it can really be a game changer.
Definitely. I agree. I think on Instagram, it's so important to have that really great aesthetics, like you said. And I also think it helps. Do you for me before I post something, which makes it a little less quick, I guess. Like, how do I explain this? I will share something immediate as it happens in my life sometimes, but I don't just throw it up there. I'll go to my feed and I'll look, what did I put last? And how can I make this look good with what is already there? Does that make sense? Like, I'd like to have all the pictures kind of look nice when you go to look at the page.
That is very important. So I have a tip that I'm sure a lot of people know already, but I use this gorgeous app that it's called Preview, where you can kind of make a first try of you have your old feed on the app, and you can put a new photo on it without posting, actually posting it on Instagram. And you see how
I didn't know about this, so you're teaching me. That's awesome.
It's a very, very good app, and I find it incredibly useful.
Definitely.
Because you have the whole picture of your feed, which is the first thing that people see when they get into you on Instagram, and that's the first thing they see. The first 9 photos. Yeah. That's what they see immediately. And that is where they decide if they want to start the follow. So it's, it's worth to pay a little bit of attention. And this app, it's really useful.
Well, you just taught me something. I'm going to go check it out as soon as we're done recording. So it's called Preview.
Preview.
Okay. Now, I mentioned your first reel, that really artistic tutorial on making yogurt. Can you walk us through, there's more than just a reel. There's quite a few different options. If somebody is new to Instagram, or even, I was on Instagram a while before I even understood the different options. And of course, reels are all new. So can you kind of walk us through the different video options for someone who wants to start an Instagram, what their choices are for video?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, there are a few on Instagram. The first one is IGTV. IGTV is when you want to post a video that it's longer than 1 minute. 1 minute is the maximum allowed length for a video in the feed. So if you have a longer video, you can post it on the feed, but people will be able to see only the first minute, and then the rest will be on IGTV. That it's good for longer contents. Where I think my personal feeling, this is very personal though, is that people are kind of less keen to watch on Instagram long videos, unless you're giving them very useful contents, I think very practical, that need to go really deep in them. But in general, I think people tend to use more YouTube for that purpose. So I prefer to stick to the 1 minute feed video. Okay. And this brings us to stories. So I use stories a lot, probably because I tend to be quite instinctive when I communicate somehow, and stories are, well, very instinctive. You see something, or you're doing something, and this is what I expect from people that I follow. So I try to give that as well. Yeah. That's what makes me feel like I am there with you, tapping trees. So, yep. I get inspiration from that. So, and stories allow you to share more truthful contents, I think, but more spontaneous. Yes. I also
especially, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but especially given what we were just saying, that when you're putting something on your feed, you want to be a little more careful and you want to think it through, that it looks good with your overall content. But a story, you can just throw it up there. It doesn't matter if it goes with anything else you've done, and it's only there 24 hours. So if it looks really bad, they're only going to see it for 24 hours.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, yes, I kind of do a mix of it, I make very spontaneous stories. And sometimes when I want to share useful content, let's say a recipe. So if you want to share a recipe, I usually make a step-by-step story. So I think that it's useful also for followers, because on an IGTV video, you cannot stop the video and go back later. I mean, you don't find where you stopped. You have to start again, all over again. But in stories, you can just stop there and say, okay, I'll finish that later on. So they can come back, and it's a kind of helps you to be very concrete, step by step, 15 seconds. And I always, it's always remember though to save these kind of stories in highlights. That's very important, especially when you're giving, a practical content.
And that's another feature of Instagram that really sets it apart, the highlights that you can, even though these stories only last 24 hours, if you're doing something really useful that you want people to be able to refer to again and again, you save it as a highlight. So I love that feature. Yeah. Okay. So you told us about IGTV and stories.
Then we have the lives. So during the pandemic, lives have seen an incredible increase.
Yes.
I mean, at least here in Italy, everybody was doing lives. We were all stuck at home, and we wanted, to share as much as possible and have a feeling of being together. I personally have made, or I was hosted in 3 or 4 lives. I love the immediate feedback coming through comments, and it's really nice to share practical skills through lives. But as I said before about IGTV, I really do prefer stories because, they give me more, also more than time to interact with people. So in live, you are there for that amount of time, and people are writing you while you're talking. So you have to be, very concentrate, because you want to go on with what you have to say, but you also have to interact. And that happens at the same time.
It's stressful.
So it's kind of stressful. Yes. Very nice way, in that case, you are yourself with no filters, no nothing, no post-production, just you and your followers. But yes, it's interesting. I tend not to overuse it.
Yeah, it is interesting. If somebody wants to try a live, one little tip I will give: if you have a family member who likes helping you, who doesn't mind showing their face on your Instagram, who maybe wants to even be a part of it for some reason, it's really helpful if you're going live to have somebody with you, because they can be reading the comments and they can be noticing the ones that they know you definitely want to react to, if that makes sense. And they can bring up those comments, and you can keep going on with your point and what you're teaching or what you're talking about. So that's just one little thing I've learned that does help a little bit with lives.
That's a very good idea. I didn't think about it. I will talk about that to my girls. And then we go to the last one and the newest, that it's Reels.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm also pretty new about Reels. In general, they're having a big success because IG, I think, created them to compete with TikTok. So
exactly, totally, no doubt about that, no secret. And because of that, Instagram, they really want it to become popular. So if you're making a reel, they are much more likely, their algorithms are much more likely to share your reel to a broader audience. So that's why we're seeing so many people doing them, because they know it's getting more views.
Yes, absolutely. This is why also the algorithm is set to give them more visibility. That said, I am aware that my reels are more like short videos. Yes, I like to make videos, so I share them either as videos or reels. But we always have to keep in mind that, I am 45 years old. So, and my
there's a learning curve, right?
Yes. But that is also, I think we always have to be very aware of who our followers are mainly. So in my case, I am pretty sure that my followers are most of them are women. and, probably more or less my age. So I think reels, made in the proper way as they have to be done, like the TikTok style, are more, I think, attractive for a younger audience.
I agree.
So I'm trying to use reels, but still, in my style. So, and yes.
So, do you find, maybe because of some of those things we were just talking about or other reasons, do you find Instagram, I think you've already answered this really, is it your favorite platform to interact with people? And what about it would you say is the most appealing thing? Like, this is why it's my favorite.
Oh, yes, no, absolutely. It's my, I have to say, I have to confess that I gave up Facebook months ago.
So it's your only one. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, it's my only one at the moment. Because I felt it wasn't my place. So I didn't feel comfortable there. I've never felt, and then when I found out how comfortable I felt on Instagram and how wonderful relationships I was building there, either, professional and new friendships, I decided, okay, that's my place. I am on Instagram both as a creator and as a follower of other feeds. So I think the important thing is never to forget that it is a social network. And Instagram really stressed that very much. So being really and truthfully active on Instagram, sharing and not being afraid of finding out new things, it's what really can boost your creativity there.
I agree.
So embracing really the community, and
it's good for us older people to keep us active. It really does make you learn something new. And that gets me excited. Oh, I figured this out. I can do this, right?
Me too. Yeah. That was the thing about reels. I went to my husband and we just started making videos, and I told him, okay, now we have to make reels. And he was like, oh.
I love it that your husband is helping and supporting. I love that.
Yes. He's the one who is, processing the videos. I'm filming.
Now, does he not like to be in front of the camera? Because we don't see him.
No.
Before we started recording, we were talking about some previous episodes, and we were talking about Kate and venison for dinner. I think she might have been episode 2. I should have looked that up in this series.
Yeah.
Was she 2? Okay. And Kate and I were talking about husbands and spouses, and for her and I both, and maybe more so for yours, they don't want to be in front of the camera, but the few times they got in front of the camera willingly, our audiences were like in love with getting to know them. They wanted to know more. And every time we do show their face, our audience is like, we want to know him. Tell us about him. So maybe you can convince your husband to show his face a little bit. I'm sure people would like to meet him.
Yes. And then he has this great beard, like he looks really like the typical Alpine.
Yes. I think I saw him planting, was it tomatoes? You did show him setting up a garden.
Yes, he was building up the tunnel. Yeah.
Yes. So you like beards? Way off topic. You like men in beards?
Very much. Sometimes he fraternize the whole family. Oh, I'm going to cut my beard, and we all say, no, don't, please.
Well, don't tell Bill, because Bill and I have this big debate every winter here in New England. All men, I'm pretty sure, at least 85% of men, grow a really long, straggly beard. And I wouldn't mind it if he kept it trimmed, but he just likes to let it go all winter long. And I have this little debate with him all winter that I can't wait till spring is here. So just last week, he shaved his beard off, actually, and I was very happy. Wow. So I'm not going to tell Bill that you like beards. I'm just not going to tell him. No. Okay, so we have a couple more things I wanted to make sure I asked you. First of all, big pages on Instagram, like, the really big guys, they get paid really big money for sponsored content. Now, the good ones will never take sponsored content that isn't something they authentically, genuinely love. So I want to make sure I make that clear. But if you are really great at Instagram and you have a big following, there is really good money to be made, and it can be made very authentically and genuinely. And let's face it, we are putting a ton of time as content creators into this content creation that we're putting out there. And sure, we're doing it because we love doing it, but it definitely takes time. So if you can build it up to the point that it's actually an income, then you really have a job that you love, that is supporting your family. So it's a great thing. But it takes a long time usually to get that size, unless something viral and crazy happens and all of a sudden, you're there. But so in the meantime, before you're to that size that you get paid thousands of dollars to show your audience a really great product, how have you figured out some ways now to monetize your Instagram? Because like I said, you're putting a lot of time into it. So if there's a way to figure out how that platform can bring in some income, huge bonus, right?
Yeah, so definitely I have been monetizing Instagram. And what I want to say, and this is something that I'm very happy to say, and I stress it also with a lot of my farmers colleagues, that, they think it's kind of, sometimes they have a prejudice and they say, oh, God, it's a waste of time. It's not. It's not even with very small numbers, because the important thing is not how big your following is, but is how truthful and how much do they trust you. So even with a small follow, you can really, make good income out of it. Okay, I will make an example. So it's my example.
Awesome.
I
Yes.
have a farm restaurant. So every time I work on Instagram, I always keep in mind, what is my final goal? Aside from, getting to know new people and inspiration, that's another thing. But talking business, what is my final goal? My final goal is that people want to come and spend time in my restaurant and eat at my restaurant. So, which is, as you can understand, it's not that easy. It's easier to sell something,
right.
But I have to make people, get their cars and come and sit.
Right.
Here.
Right.
So that's not easy. And I started to see, just after a while I was using Instagram, I started to see that, very fast. I always ask new clients, why did you hear from us? And how did you find out about us? Because we're really, really very, we're not on the main road, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure. And a very good thing, just to pause, that's a really good thing, no matter what business you're in, to ask people exactly that. Because if you know how they found you, you can keep doing that and focus on that.
Exactly. So the answer started to be more and more, oh, I follow you on Instagram. And then after a while, I started to have people coming from, quite far towns from here, just because they were following and they wanted to know us in person.
I love it.
So that was, really such an exciting thing. It is every time. I'm so excited, when people tell me, I follow you on Instagram, and I came to your restaurant because I love your word. What they're telling you is, I trust you. I trust what you're telling me, and I like what you're telling me, and I want to be there in person.
Yes.
So, and this started, I cannot stress this enough. This started with really small numbers. I would say even with 2,000 followers, I already started to see that.
I love it.
I kept on going, and it's growing and growing. So yeah.
I love it. And I also think we should point out to people that obviously a lot of your audience has no way of coming and sitting in your restaurant. I have no way of doing that. I couldn't afford the plane ticket, right? But
who knows?
Someday, yes, I'm going to make it a goal someday. And you can come to New England to our farm and meet our pigs and our barn cats. And
I'd love
to. So I want to point out, though, that as you're growing, it's okay if maybe even 80% of your followers can't actually come sit in your restaurant. those followers are helping you with your goal. Because again, back to that Instagram algorithm, if the more followers you have, the more they're going to show, not just to new people possibly, but to your current followers. Like as you grow, they see value in what you're doing. Well, if she has 10,000 people following her, she's doing something valuable, right? Mm-hmm. So the people that can come to your restaurant are more likely to see your content simply because you've been growing your followers.
Yes, definitely. That's why also I choose this double language feed, which is not that common. I have a feed in 2 languages, in Italian and English, because, I cherish so much my English speaking followers.
And I love that you do that. I love it. And sometimes I like watching you in Italian just because it's fun. Not that I can understand a daggone word you're saying, but so anyone that's been on Instagram for a little while and they're trying to build their reach, they will probably tell you that Instagram can be difficult. They are always kind of changing the rules. And sometimes it's confusing for all of us, I feel like. So can you enlighten us just a little bit about maybe the current Instagram algorithms or any other tips or tricks there?
Okay, yes, it's not only, that we don't understand. I think very often we don't really know, and nobody knows how this is working. We can't.
That's a good point.
yeah, nobody knows it. It's just, I see very often debates on, among also big influencers on what is going on, because, they see numbers that are changing. So it's a big deal all the time. Yep. But there is, on my experience, there is one thing that we all should keep in mind, that it's the most important thing, I think, that it's engagement. So the more you interact, as we were saying before, the more we interact among each others, and the more we interact with our followers, and the more we are likely to be seen. So this, I see it as a good thing, because, as we said before, this is a social network. So social network, both these words infer that we need to share. So sharing in all the ways possible. So it's very important, for example, to answer the comments. That's very important. Sometimes I see feeds with very nice comments, but no answer. Yeah. And that is, it's not nice, first of all, because, people take their time to comment on something that you did. So I think you should take your time to, say a thank you. But aside from that, it's also a matter of being seen, because the more you interact, the more the algorithm, ranks you higher. Yeah. So, and that it works also for stories. So you should always answer comments, answer DM. You should always comment feeds and posts that speak about you. And another very important thing is to repost in your stories if someone tags you in theirs. That it's very, very important. And tag others if you're talking about them. Yes. So, you see the network always work in real life and on Instagram. And the algorithm is always, rewarding this.
Yes. And it all comes down to all those things that you said, all very good points. And I just want to reiterate, in case anybody mentioned it, in case somebody missed it, because you gave so many great points in like 30 seconds there, even those private things, when people are just messaging privately, I couldn't not respond anyway, because I'm like my dad like never met a stranger and loved talking to anybody. And I find it fascinating that I can be like having this conversation with somebody across the world in a little text on my phone. I absolutely love it. And I feel like I know all these people that send me messages. I've never met them, but I feel like I know them, So I couldn't imagine not replying, but that is something, if you're concerned about your algorithm and you're trying to grow your page, that is definitely something that I don't know if people realize, that if you just leave messages sit there, Instagram realizes you're doing that. And they're like, well, if that person's not interacting with their followers, it's not a big page, So all really great points. I feel like maybe I cut you off. Did I cut you off there? I'm sorry.
No, no.
Okay. 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 So you've given us lots of great tips, and I love the way that you've pulled us into what you're doing and shown us that. You had mentioned that one of your biggest goals is to get people to your restaurant, but I know you also have a few other products, and you will sometimes show us your beautiful yarn, and people realize they can actually purchase your yarn from your amazing, is it pronounced Mazo?
Mazo, yeah.
Mazo, which is
good. You're Italian.
the local Italian word in your community that essentially can be translated to homestead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
So in the mountains, a homestead in the mountains. So people can order this gorgeous yarn from your sweet Mazo through Instagram. Like, that's so cool. So tell us, how they can do that. And this other amazing product, I know that they can purchase a really amazing, would you call it ebook about sourdough?
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yes. Yes. Last year we opened up a little e-shop. So where we sell our wool, which is, well, it's a big passion of mine. And then, we breed sheep, and so we make our own wool. And yeah, we sell it on our e-shop. You can find the link on the link in bio in my Instagram feed, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, and then there is also this. Okay, I wrote a book about sourdough, but so far, unfortunately, it's only in Italian and German.
But if anybody is following or listening to this and they happen to speak Italian and German, they can definitely get a copy of this gorgeous book. In English, it's translated to, it's called My Sourdough. And can they also find that just by going to your Instagram?
Yes.
Okay.
They can find it through the link in bio as well.
Okay, and then tell us about the ebook. Yes,
and then I wanted to have something smaller and that I could translate myself in English. So this is a PDF. I call that bread pattern. So you can buy this booklet, which is like 17 pages, and there is a part where I tell how to make sourdough from scratch, and then a very detailed recipe for everyday bread. So
awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So people, isn't it crazy in today's modern technology? Here, we're going to sound really old when I say this, but in today's modern technology, people can just click a link, just electronically send a few dollars over to Vea in the Alps and get this amazing book instantly that tells them all about how Vea makes sourdough. So I absolutely love it. So people need to check that out. Okay. We're going to wrap up now. You've given us so much advice. You can reiterate, or you can throw something new out there. But if you had to give somebody just a basic encouragement and a really great tip, if they really want to grow their Instagram, they really would love to have a following there, what would you tell them?
Okay, first of all, I think it's very important to ask yourself very deeply why you want to build a follow. That's very important. There is no right answer here, but it's very important to be aware what is your purpose. And that can change over time as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be
definitely.
I mean, it's changed for me many times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But this will make your communication more efficient and, more effective.
Yeah, more effective. And it also will give you more of a reason to do it. It gets you more excited about it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in any case, I have two personal golden rules.
Okay.
That first one is always to be truthful and sincere. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that you have to share everything of your life. You decide which areas you want to share, but those areas you have to be really truthful.
Good point. In fact,
because when, for example, in my case, and here I'm talking also to people that have small businesses like mine, then when followers become clients eventually, they have to find what they have seen.
Yes.
That's very important.
Yes.
So be truthful, be sincere, and always, describe what they will see, they will find. And this is
Yes.
very important. So there
Yes.
is no misunderstanding there.
Definitely.
And another thing for me, it's very important, take a little care on the aesthetic of it. So
definitely.
Yeah.
I love it. Very good point. So make sure what you're doing looks good and make sure that it's sincere.
Yeah.
I love it. Vea, this has been so much fun. I'm honored that you brought me into your little mesa today. Meso. See, I said it wrong that time. Maso. Mazo, that you brought me into your Mazo today, that you let all of us join you and you gave us these really great tips and you got us thinking about some really important things if people want to grow their Instagram.
Thank you very much. I am honored to be here and it was so exciting to talk to you, so far away.
Yes. And you know what? Let's give one last little shout out to how we met. If people have not yet followed Homestead Mamas over on Instagram, that's a great way to connect with like-minded ladies who care about some of the incredible passions that we are interested in. And that's where you and I met, because both of us had the privilege of doing takeovers. And now what is your official title?
Sorry,
what do you call yourself on Homestead Mamas? Like, are you, I don't know. You're on there regularly now. Is that it? You're a regular?
Yes, you're right. Sorry. Yes, I have a monthly contribution.
Okay.
So yeah.
A monthly contributor. Okay.
A monthly contributor.
Yes. So everybody listening, if you'd like to get to see Vea not only on her own page, but through this other group, please go follow Homestead Mamas. It's a great group.
Yes, totally worth following them.
Well, thanks again, Vea. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Michelle.
So there you have it. I hope that Vea and I have inspired you and convinced you that you really should be on Instagram and using it to grow your brand. And if you'd like to know more about online content creation, be sure and follow along on this season 2 of the Simple Doesn't Mean Easy podcast. I will leave links below.